remarks that you can easily overlook, but sometimes it's those very words that end up changing your life forever. I'm Shephard, 35 years old, a regular husband, working in construction, coming home on time, no drinking, no cheating. I married Gemma 8 years ago. Back then, she was an ambitious young real estate agent. And me? A rough contractor full of dirt and calluses. Our differences pulled us together, like two opposite ends of a magnet. Or at least, that's what I thought. I started to suspect Gemma 3 months ago when I was looking for a receipt on our shared Amazon account. There were purchases that didn't seem familiar. Designer dresses, $300 shoes, a beauty set worth as much as a month's worth of our electricity bill. When I asked, Gemma just smiled. I just sold the Henderson property, set a record. Let me treat myself. She reached out, gently brushing my hand as if I were a loyal dog, then whispered, almost unconsciously, "He's dumb enough not to notice anything." She didn't think I heard, but I did. Every single word. I didn't get angry. I didn't shout. I just smiled, stood up, and poured myself a drink as if nothing happened. But in my mind, I started piecing everything together. Gemma always handled our finances. The reason was simple. You do physical work, I do real estate. Let me handle the numbers. I agreed. And that was my first mistake. Recently, she started coming home late, dressing more neatly, wearing darker lipstick, always putting her phone face down on the table, always in silent mode. She thought I didn't notice, and she was right. I didn't realize for a long time, because I loved her, because I trusted her. Until one day I received an envelope from the bank. I almost tossed it in the trash, thinking it was just advertising. But something told me to open it. Account balance, minus $155,000. Cardholder, Shephard J. I had never opened an account with that bank. I called, pretending to be naive. "Hi, I see the statement, but I don't remember signing up. When was this card open?" "It was opened 3 months ago, sir, through online registration. Can you read the email I registered with? Shephard.finances at dot." I'd never had that email. I started going through the accounts. I found 3 more credit cards, all under my name, totaling nearly $50,000, opened through identity verification, using personal information only someone close to me would know. No one else but Gemma. A week later, while lying on the couch, I pretended to sleep. Gemma walked into the kitchen making a call. She thought I didn't hear. "Phoenix, don't worry, he has no clue. I've handled everything. The accounts, the cards. I even used his name to sign the loan contract. Yep, the APR is like window cleaner or something. He still thinks that." Phoenix, the third person. She called him by a name straight out of a cheap action movie. She laughed. A laugh I once thought was cute, now it felt like nails scratching at my heart. That night, I lay next to Gemma in the dark. She was softly snoring, carefree as if she had never done anything wrong. I stared at the ceiling. No tears in my mind, no anger, no resentment. Only one thought echoed in my head. Well played, Gemma. Well played. The next morning, I called Gail, my sister, a sharp, intelligent accountant with a cool demeanor like steel. "Gail, remember when you talked about that investment? I want to go over it again." She said one thing. "Give me an hour. I'll bring coffee on the laptop." Gail sat across from me in her small kitchen, where everything was neatly arranged, a stark contrast to the turmoil in me at that moment. She slid the coffee cup toward me, saying nothing until I placed the stack of papers on the table. "Start here," I said, my voice hoarse. Gail opened the folder, picking up a bank statement like she was reading a news article. "Jesus," she hissed through clenched teeth. "She really thought you were an idiot." I just shrugged. She didn't just think it. She flat out said it. Gail didn't ask anything more. She just opened the laptop and began typing quickly, as if trying to keep up with the anger inside her. We started analyzing each transaction, every line, every anonymous account. Thanks to Gail's connections and experience in the banking industry, we discovered at least 3 loans opened in my name over the past 4 months. She had used my social security number, forged my signature, and redirected all notices to a fake email she set up to keep me in the dark. 1 real estate loan for $55,000, 2 credit cards with a total balance of $47,000, nearly maxed out, and a refinancing application that was in the approval process. An application Gemma had asked me to sign just 2 days ago. I remember the moment she shoved the stack of papers into my hands, smiling gently as she always did. "It's just some paperwork to restructure the old loan. We'll save a lot of money," she said. When I told her I needed to look over it, she furrowed her brow, adding a touch of disappointment. "Shephard, don't you trust me?" Now I know. It wasn't that I didn't trust her, but that I trusted her too much. Gail created an Excel sheet, numbering each transaction. She saved all the documents to a USB, backed them up in 3 copies, and sent a soft copy to a Dropbox account encrypted with a password I chose. We spent the entire afternoon sitting together. Each new discovery felt like another punch to the stomach, but the more it hurt, the more alert I became. That night I drove home. The house I had built with my own hands. Each brick, every pipe. Gemma was sitting on the couch, watching TikTok. Her legs crossed, as relaxed as if everything in the world was exactly where it should be. "Where have you been?" she asked, not taking her eyes off the screen. "Gym with Kyle," I replied, walking past her as if nothing was unusual. "We were talking about extra work." Make sure you eat something before. I've put sushi in the fridge," she said, not even glancing back. Her calmness, as if everything was fine, sent a chill down my spine. That night, while she was asleep, I sat in the garage, pulled out my phone, and began going through the recording. The one I made a couple of days ago when she called Phoenix. "I'm almost done. Just one last signature, and he won't know anything until we're gone. For sure. I've deleted the history, the emails. I even started moving stuff to his place without him knowing." Her laugh echoed through the garage like a knife twisting in my chest. I took a deep breath, saved the recording to an external hard drive, and turned off the phone. Her plan wasn't just about betrayal. It was about taking everything. She didn't just cheat on me. She wanted to destroy me completely and walk away with it all, and still thought I was too dumb to realize. The next day, I passed by the coffee shop Gemma and I used to visit when we first started dating. She was sitting there, with Phoenix. They were laughing and joking like they were living in a dream. I didn't go in. I just pulled out my phone, recorded the whole scene of them holding hands, Gemma kissing his cheek, wearing the bracelet I gave her for our 5th wedding anniversary. I sent the video to Gail. She replied with a single message: "The game is on." 3 days later, I met with Amy, an old friend and a family law attorney. She went through the files Gail had prepared, and she was shocked. "Shephard, this is the cleanest reversal I've ever seen. She thought you were dumb, but your patience is actually your strongest weapon." Amy organized the files into neat folders. Fake documents, recordings, bank statements, pictures of the affair, a list of assets transferred suspiciously. Everything was compiled into a lawsuit that, if presented in court, would not only bankrupt Gemma, but could also lead to criminal charges for fraud and identity theft. "Let her think you don't know anything. Let her sign one more contract, transfer one more item. Every step she takes is digging her grave deeper," Amy said. I left the lawyer's office, got into my car, pulled up the map, and selected the route home, the one I once called the way back to my home. But tonight, I didn't go home. I stopped by a security camera store. I told Gemma I was going to buy a fishing rod and camping gear. She replied with a heart emoji. Sweet. I installed cameras around the house, changed the Wi-Fi password, linked all devices to my personal phone, and a separate account Gemma couldn't access. By the time I finished, the clock read exactly 1 a.m. Gemma was fast asleep. I sat in the car looking up at the second-floor window, where the bedroom light still glowed faintly. He's dumb enough not to realize. No, Gemma, I've realized. And I've started to take everything back. My dignity, my money, and my life. Gemma's exit plan was disguised under a very nice-sounding name. Emotional Recovery Vacation. She started hinting at it as if she were trying to fix a marriage, instead of quietly taking whatever was left. One evening after dinner, she put her phone down, her eyes sparkling like they did when we first got married. "I think we should go somewhere, just the two of us. I found a small villa in Florida. Private pool, quiet. I think it would be perfect for us." I swallowed a bite of food and nodded. "Sounds good. I'll book the tickets, okay?" she asked, watching me carefully. I smiled. "It's up to you." As soon as she went upstairs, I pulled out my phone and accessed her secret email account, the one she had used to receive fake financial statements under my name. There was a chain of emails with the subject line, "Exit Plan." The next morning, I met with Gail at the coffee shop. I showed her the email. Gail chuckled softly, but there was no joy in her smile. "They're trying to steal both your assets and your dignity, and it's almost like they're writing a movie." "Exactly," I replied, "and I'm about to give them a finale that's nothing like a movie." We transferred most of the money from our joint account to a separate account under my name, secured with dual-layered bank access. We left only $6,000, enough to keep Gemma from suspecting anything, but not enough for her to execute her withdrawal plan. That evening, I got home later than usual. Gemma had prepared candles, wine, and soft music. She greeted me with a dramatic kiss, as if it were a truly romantic night. "I think, after this vacation, we'll start fresh. Maybe even have kids," she said with a glint in her eye. I almost laughed, but instead I picked up my glass, clinked it with hers, and said, "You know, maybe this vacation will be a turning point." The next day I returned home earlier than planned. She thought I was still at the construction site. I walked into the garage and heard her voice through the vent, just clear enough to hear everything. "Has he signed yet?" Phoenix asked. "Not yet, but it'll be soon. I just need one more day," Gemma replied. "Are you moving the rest of your stuff to his place?" "Don't worry, babe. He doesn't know the LV bag I was carrying yesterday is actually secondhand. I used that money to make the investment for you." "Good. I've already told Mom that you're a big real estate investor in the city." Their laughter echoed inside me like a punch to the gut. But I didn't walk in. I just raised my phone and started recording. I heard every word Gemma said about me. He works 10 hours a day, and he has no idea I've been cutting his salary in half. I've been moving the money to a different account, and that card with his name on it, I opened another one last week. I stood there in the dark, my hands clenched, not out of anger, but because the calm I felt now was far more terrifying than anything else. 2 days later, Gemma left a stack of paperwork on the kitchen table. I need you to sign this to finalize the refinancing for the old mortgage. Lower interest rates, more savings for us. The next morning I opened the papers. The familiar but blurry words, my name, a forged signature, a new loan for $80,000. I smiled. I'll read it carefully and sign later. How about tomorrow? She reluctantly nodded, but her eyes started to panic. That night I sent all the evidence, recordings, emails, pictures of the documents, to Amy, my lawyer. She called me back within 3 minutes. Leave it to me. She's not getting away this time. The counterattack had begun. The next day I changed all the locks on the house, installed a new security camera system, changed the Wi-Fi password, and switched the household registration to just my name. I went to work, came home on time, acted like everything was normal. But with every small move I made, I pushed Gemma closer to the edge of her own downfall. On Friday night, Gemma got an email notification. Transfer account declined. Reason: recipient account no longer exists. She looked at me. I shrugged. Probably a system error. I'll call the bank tomorrow. She forced a smile, but her hands started to shake. The new day started like any other. Soft sunlight, a gentle breeze. Peaceful, almost too peaceful. Gemma woke up early, made coffee, kissed me on the cheek like nothing had changed. Remember, she reminded me for the third time, we're flying out tomorrow. I've booked the 11 a.m. flight. It's all set. You just relax. I nodded. I've never seen you take care of things at home like this. She laughed, thinking I was complimenting her. The night before the vacation, I pretended to be drunk. She went into the bedroom first, leaving her phone charging outside, just like always. The only difference this time, I had the password. I unlocked it, opened her email. The message chain between her and Phoenix was right there. All set. One-way tickets. The money will be transferred tomorrow morning when he's out of the house. Babe, I'll wait for you at gate E5. I'll be wearing a white dress. Don't be late. We'll start over. No one can stop us. I forwarded the entire thread to Amy, my lawyer. Attached were the recordings from the garage, the financial documents, the loan papers, and the pictures of the affair. Once everything was ready, I printed out a hard copy, carefully bound it, and left it on the dining table, right under the divorce papers. The next morning, Gemma wore a white dress. She'd had a light haircut and applied her makeup carefully. I had never seen her look so radiant since our wedding day. The only difference was, this time, she was preparing to leave my life. Are we ready? She asked, picking up her suitcase and heading for the car. I smiled. You go ahead. I'll stop by the office to grab some papers. Remember, E5. Of course, I said, kissing her on the forehead. She drove off, completely unaware. I had set up a camera at the front door, recording the entire scene of her leaving with her luggage, without me. I called Amy. It's time, I said. 9:10 a.m., Gail sent an official request to the bank. Freeze all accounts under Shephard J. There was evidence of fraud, document forgery, and potential asset hiding. 9:27 a.m., Amy sent the divorce papers and the financial fraud lawsuit to the district court. It included notarized signatures, supporting evidence, and witness testimony from Kathleen, a former friend of Gemma's who knew what had happened, but now stood on the side of the truth. 10:45 a.m., I sat in the airport parking lot watching. Gemma stood at gate E5 looking around, phone in hand. Phoenix hadn't shown up, and of course, neither had I. 10:52. She called. I didn't answer. 11:10. She started panicking. 11:15. Phoenix arrived looking frantic, his face pale. They argued. I could see it clearly. Phoenix waved his phone, pointing at the screen. Gemma pulled at her hair, shouting. I knew exactly what they were looking at. The bank account, frozen. The credit card, reported as fraudulent. The email notification that the lawsuit had been filed. All the evidence had been sent to Gemma's real estate licensing authority. I recorded the whole thing, for the memories. 11:23. My phone buzzed. Gemma called 7 times. Phoenix called 3. I turned the phone off. 1 p.m. I went home. My handwritten letter was still on the table next to the divorce papers. Thank you for teaching me that love isn't enough without the truth. I once trusted you with all my heart. You used it to stab me in the back. Now, let's see who's the one who's not smart enough. At 4 p.m., I got a message from a neighbor. She's yelling outside your house. I opened the camera. There she was, Gemma, white dress, disheveled, standing in the middle of the street, screaming, "You've ruined my life." I turned on the microphone. No, Gemma, you did that. I'm just holding up the mirror for everyone to see it. Phoenix appeared too. His face was pale. They argued like two people stranded in the storm they created. Across the street, Mrs. Johnson, the neighbor, was live streaming. People were watching, sharing, adding hashtags, Gemagate. Don't trust curly hair. That evening, Amy called. The court has accepted the case. With this evidence, she's not just losing everything. She could be prosecuted. I sighed. Not because I was tired, but because I felt relieved. The next morning, I woke up like any other day, brewing coffee, watering the plants on the front porch, opening the garage door and taking a deep breath. The strange thing was, it wasn't gloomy anymore. There was no sense of someone lying behind my back. No more quiet phone tapping in the middle of the night. No more fake kisses on the cheek, but cold beneath the surface. It was just me and the truth. The first week after the collapse, I didn't hear anything more from Gemma or Phoenix, but the news about them was spreading fast in the neighborhood. Gemma lost 3 real estate contracts in just 48 hours. An old client called me. Thank you for speaking up. I almost gave her $200,000 as a deposit. Gemma's licensing board received all the reports and opened an investigation. The credit fraud, using someone else's name to open loans, wasn't just an ethical violation. It was enough to permanently revoke her license. As for Phoenix, the project he built was officially suspended. The lot they invested in together turned out to be in a floodplain, requiring foundation work 3 times the original budget. The investors pulled out, the bank sent out a liquidation notice, and his leased BMW was towed away in the middle of the night. Gail, my sister, smiled as she sent me a picture of Phoenix cursing on the sidewalk, holding a debt notice, his foot on a pizza box. One afternoon, I was washing my car when Gemma drove by. Not in a Range Rover anymore. Just an old Civic with scratch paint. She slowed down, hoping I'd turn and look. I just wiped the windshield and turned my back. Not out of disdain, but because she was no longer on my emotional level. The next week, Phoenix texted me. He used a strange number saying, "I'm suing you for defamation." I sent a photo of the investment receipts he took from Gemma, all in my name, along with a message, proof of fraud, reputation gone. Good luck. He didn't reply. I met Amy again to finalize the divorce paperwork. The court scheduled a hearing date. She said, with this evidence, Gemma will leave the court empty-handed, if not with handcuffs waiting for her. I didn't reply. I didn't want to see her in court, not because I was scared, but because there was no reason to face her anymore. That night, I sat on the porch, holding a cold beer, looking at the quiet street. Gail got out of her car and sat beside me. Are you okay? Better than ever. We didn't say much more. Sometimes silence is the clearest sign of recovery. 2 weeks later, Gemma called. From a public number. I answered out of curiosity. Her voice cracked. Shephard, I know I was wrong, but I was afraid of losing you. I thought you'd never leave me if I did everything right. I sighed. No, Gemma, you're not afraid of losing me. You're afraid of losing control, and you're afraid of being seen as a failure. Her voice went silent. I hope you start being true to yourself for the first time, if you still can. Then she hung up. The court ruled in absentia. The divorce was finalized. I kept the house. All the debts in my name were wiped out thanks to Amy's fraud claim. Gemma had no right to dispute the assets. A month later, I met Leah, the head of a social housing project. She came to the shop where I worked to consult on rebuilding an old housing complex. I fixed a sink for her, and she made coffee for me. We laughed and talked. No ulterior motives, no lies, just genuine, kind people, and that was enough. I used to think revenge meant making the other person hurt, but real revenge is when they lose everything, while you live better, more peacefully, and never look back. This is where the story ends. If you found this journey inspiring, please like, subscribe, and share to spread the word to those who need to hear. Betrayal isn't the end. It's the dash before a new chapter begins. Thank you for listening. See you in the next story. Goodbye.